Let's talk about one of the most misunderstood, mythologized, and pressure-filled topics in human sexuality. It's a subject that has been relentlessly sensationalized by popular media, reduced to a punchline or a pornographic trope, and whispered about in private conversations laced with a mixture of curiosity and confusion. This constant chatter, so often divorced from reality, has created a fog of anxiety that can suffocate genuine connection. We're going to step through that fog. We're going to demystify this experience together, armed not with sensationalism, but with science, with empathy, and with a deep respect for the human body. Because if you stick with me through this entire discussion, if you allow yourself to absorb not just the techniques but the philosophy behind them, you'll understand a profound secret by the end. You will come to see that the true path to unlocking a woman's deepest, most uninhibited pleasure has almost nothing to do with the specific physical goal you might have in mind. Instead, it has everything to do with a kind of emotional and physical listening, a deep attunement that can fundamentally transform your entire approach to intimacy. Don't click away, because that final, crucial insight is the key that unlocks everything else we are about to discuss. Emotional safety. Before we ever discuss a single technique, a single location on the body, or a single physical outcome, we must start here, at the absolute bedrock of human connection. We must begin with a foundational truth that is amplified tenfold in the vulnerable space of intimacy. The most powerful, most essential, and most non-negotiable element for profound female pleasure is not physical. It is psychological. It is the unwavering, palpable presence of emotional safety. This isn't just a poetic sentiment or a romantic ideal. It's a cold, hard, neurological, and biological reality. Your nervous system is a vigilant, ancient guardian, programmed for survival. When it perceives a threat, whether that threat is a charging lion, a looming deadline at work, a judgmental comment, or even the subtle, unspoken pressure of expectation in the bedroom, it enters a state of high alert. This is the fight, flight, or freeze response, a state governed by the sympathetic nervous system. In this defensive crouch, the body's resources are strategically diverted to survival. Blood flow is rerouted from the organs to the major muscle groups for escape. Your heart rate climbs, your senses become hyper-focused on detecting danger, and all functions deemed non-essential for immediate survival are systematically shut down. And in the raw, vulnerable context of intimacy, the delicate systems of arousal and pleasure are considered deeply non-essential when survival feels like it's on the line. The capacity for deep arousal, for heightened sensitivity, and for the complete surrender of orgasmic release requires the absolute opposite state, the parasympathetic nervous system response. This is often called the rest and digest state, but for our purposes, let's call it the trust and receive state. For a woman's body to become fully receptive, open, soft, and exquisitely sensitive to pleasure, her nervous system must receive a clear, unambiguous, and sustained signal that she is safe. She must feel safe from judgment about her body or her responses, safe from the pressure to perform or to reach a specific goal, safe from feeling like she is merely a means to an end, a conquest to be won. She must feel safe to be exactly as she is in that moment, whether she is loud or quiet, energetic or tired, fast or slow to respond. This is the critical juncture where so many well-intentioned partners, armed with technical knowledge, miss the mark entirely. They may have studied a map and learned a physical technique, but they have failed to build the strong, trustworthy container required for that technique to ever be truly effective. So, what does building this sacred container of safety look like in real, everyday practice? It begins long before the bedroom door ever closes. It's woven into the very fabric of the relationship. It's in the way you put down your phone and truly listen when she talks about her day, not just waiting for your turn to speak. It's in the way you respect her boundaries, both the ones she states clearly and the subtle ones she communicates non-verbally. It's in celebrating her triumphs as if they were your own and supporting her through her vulnerabilities without an immediate, arrogant impulse to fix her. It is a consistent, reliable pattern of behavior that communicates one simple, powerful, and deeply reassuring message. You are safe with me. All of you is welcome here. Your strength and your struggle, your joy and your tears. In the moments leading up to intimacy, this translates to consciously creating a space that is utterly free of expectation. The goal cannot be a specific outcome. It must not be performance-oriented. The primary overriding goal must be connection. It must be mutual exploration, shared presence, and a celebration of sensation for its own sake. It's asking questions like, what feels good to you right now? And then truly, patiently listening to the answer. Whether it's delivered in words, a subtle shift in her breathing, or the way her body moves against yours. It's about reassuring her, perhaps even with explicit words, that there is no test to pass, no destination you're frantically rushing to reach. The journey itself, the shared experience of this moment, is the entire point. When a woman feels this profound sense of security, the deep cellular knowledge that her pleasure is being prioritized for its own sake, not as an achievement to be unlocked, her body can finally exhale. Her nervous system can downshift from its vigilant guard duty into that receptive, trusting, parasympathetic state. Her mind can quiet, letting go of the exhausting internal monologue of self-consciousness, of wondering, am I taking too long? Am I doing this right? What does he want from me? Only then, in that state of complete surrender and trust, does the body's full, astonishing potential for pleasure become truly accessible. Without this unshakable foundation, any physical technique is merely a mechanical act performed on a guarded body. It's like possessing a perfectly cut key, but trying to use it on a lock that is rusted shut with years of anxiety, self-doubt, and unspoken pressure. True, earth-shattering intimacy, the kind that can lead to the most extraordinary of human experiences, always starts with turning the key of trust first. Pleasure map. Now that we have established the non-negotiable foundational importance of emotional safety, we can begin to explore the physical landscape. But we must approach this exploration with the exact same mindset of curiosity, reverence, and collaboration. We are not embarking on a frantic treasure hunt for a single mythical spot. We are instead respectfully learning to read a complex, unique, and wondrous territory. The term G-spot has become a cultural phenomenon, a piece of sexual folklore representing a single magic button that supposedly guarantees a specific explosive result. This concept is not only overly simplistic, it is fundamentally unhelpful. It creates a desperate, goal-oriented search that more often leads to frustration, anxiety, and feelings of inadequacy for both partners. Let's reframe this entirely. We are not looking for a spot, we are exploring an area. A more accurate and clinical term is the Grafenberg area, or more simply, the G area. This is a region of heightened sensitivity located on the upper wall of the vagina, typically a few inches inside, on the side toward the front of the body, or the navel. It's crucial to understand that this region is not a distinct, standalone anatomical organ like the heart or the clitoris. Rather, it is a highly sensitive patch of tissue that is deeply interconnected with the larger clitoral network. The clitoris is an iceberg of pleasure, a far larger and more complex structure than the small, visible glands or nub on the outside. The clitoris possesses internal legs or roots, known as the crura, that extend downward and back, wrapping around the urethra and the vagina. This internal structure is vast, rich with nerve endings, and capable of profound pleasure. The G area is thought to be a specific place where this internal clitoral tissue comes particularly close to the surface of the vaginal wall, making it uniquely responsive to the right kind of direct pressure. When this area is stimulated correctly, it can produce a unique and intensely pleasurable sensation, often described as distinct from external clitoral stimulation, a deeper, fuller, more profound feeling of pleasure that seems to radiate from within. But understanding its general location is only the first piece of the puzzle. The real key is understanding its intimate connection to another important set of structures, the Skene's glands. These glands, sometimes referred to as the paraurethral glands, are the female homologue to the male prostate. They are a delicate collection of glands and ducts located on the front wall of the vagina, surrounding the lower end of the urethra. The G area and the Skene's glands are situated in very close proximity, forming a complex nexus of pleasure. It is the integrated stimulation of this entire clitorithrovaginal complex, the internal clitoris, the urethra, and the front vaginal wall, that is believed to lead to the intense pleasure and potential for the fluid emission we are discussing. The G area then acts as the primary access point for stimulating these deeper, interconnected structures. Think of it less as a button and more as a doorway. By applying firm, rhythmic pressure to this area, you are indirectly stimulating the dense network of sensitive nerves of the internal clitoris and the Skene's glands that lie just beyond the vaginal wall. It's a way of reaching deeper into that hidden iceberg of pleasure. This anatomical understanding is profoundly crucial because it moves us away from myth and into functional, helpful science. It helps us understand why a specific type of touch is effective, and it completely removes the frantic pressure of finding one tiny, magical, and often elusive point. Every single woman's body is different. The exact location, size, and sensitivity of this area can and does vary significantly from person to person. Therefore, the most important map is never one you will find in a textbook or an online article. The only map that matters is the one she provides to you, in real time, through her verbal and nonverbal feedback. This exploration must be a patient, collaborative process. It requires open communication, unwavering attention, and a genuine willingness to listen with your hands, your ears, and your heart. The goal is never to find the G-spot. The goal is to learn her unique body, to discover together what feels good to her, and to explore this incredible pleasure map as a team, without a predetermined destination or a ticking clock. This compassionate approach transforms the act from a stressful, technical task into a beautiful, shared journey of discovery. Rhythmic pressure. With a clear understanding of the internal anatomy and having established the essential nature of emotional safety, we can now discuss the practical application of touch. The technique itself is, in many ways, quite simple in its mechanics, but its effectiveness hinges entirely on nuance, attentiveness, and most importantly, rhythm. The most commonly described and effective method for stimulating the G area involves a specific intentional motion using one or two fingers. The fingers are inserted into the vagina with the palm facing up towards her navel. They then curl slightly in a come hither or beckoning motion, applying firm, consistent pressure against that upper wall of the vagina where the G area is located. But knowing the motion is only a tiny fraction of the equation. The true art, the element that transforms a simple movement into a profoundly pleasurable experience, is in the delivery. First, let's talk about the quality of pressure. This is not a place for light, feathery, tentative strokes. The G area and the underlying structures are deeper and respond most effectively to firm, deep, confident pressure, not delicate teasing. Imagine you are trying to give a deep tissue massage to a tight muscle knot in shoulder. The pressure should feel purposeful and consistent. However, firm must never be confused with hard, aggressive, or painful. This is a delicate balance and an area where open, continuous communication, both verbal and nonverbal, is absolutely paramount. You must be constantly checking in. A simple, whispered, "How does this feel?" or "More pressure like this?" or "A little less?" can make all the difference in the world. Even more importantly, you must become a dedicated student of her body's unique language. Listen intently to the sound and rhythm of her breathing. A sharp, sudden inhale might signal too much pressure or the wrong angle, while a deepening breath and a visible relaxing of her hips and thighs likely mean you are on the right track. Pay close attention to the subtle, involuntary movements of her body. Is she instinctively leaning into your touch, or is she tensing up and pulling away, even slightly? Her body will give you all the feedback you need if you are willing to quiet your own agenda and receive it. Next, and perhaps most importantly of all, is rhythm. This is not about speed. In fact, one of the most common mistakes partners make is moving too quickly, too erratically, or too impatiently. The goal is to build a steady, predictable, almost hypnotic rhythm. The come hither motion should be consistent and reliable. This predictability is a gift to her nervous system. It allows her brain to anticipate the sensation, to relax fully into it, and to build arousal steadily without being startled, overwhelmed, or distracted by an inconsistent touch. Think of the soothing, predictable motion of a rocking chair, not the jarring, chaotic energy of a jackhammer. A slow, steady, and deliberate rhythm is often far more arousing and effective than a fast one, especially in the beginning. As arousal builds and she becomes more vocal or responsive, she may guide you to increase the speed or deepen the pressure. But the initial approach should always be one of patience and consistency. The goal is to build sensation gradually, layer by layer, allowing her body to open and respond in its own time. It is also crucial to remember that this area may not be immediately, intensely sensitive. It often requires a period of sustained, rhythmic stimulation for the tissue to swell with blood, a process called vasocongestion, and become fully, exquisitely responsive. This can take several minutes. This is not a race. It requires patience and a deep willingness to stay with the process without becoming discouraged or goal-oriented. During this time, it's essential to continue focusing on the whole person, not just the part of her you are touching. Maintain eye contact if that feels connective. Kiss her deeply. Use your other hand to caress her body, to gently stimulate her clitoris, or to simply hold her close and let her feel the warmth of your entire body against hers. This ensures that the act remains one of holistic, loving connection, not one of isolated, mechanical stimulation. If at any point the stimulation becomes uncomfortable or too intense, it is essential to pause, adjust, and communicate. This reinforces that foundational layer of emotional safety, reminding her that her comfort and her pleasure are the absolute priority. The technique is secondary to the connection. It is merely a tool to be used in the service of her pleasure, not a task to be completed. Fluid facts. One of the primary reasons this entire topic is shrouded in so much mystery, and for some a deep sense of shame, is the nature of the fluid itself. What is it? Where does it come from? Is it urine? The profound misunderstanding and cultural stigma surrounding female ejaculation can create intense anxiety for both partners, often causing women to hold back at the peak of pleasure. So let's clear away the myths with a direct, compassionate, and scientific explanation. This is not a crude or taboo topic. It is a normal and fascinating aspect of human biology that deserves to be understood without shame. The fluid that can be expelled during some female orgasms, often referred to as squirting or gushing, is primarily composed of a dilute fluid that originates in the bladder. Let's be very clear and direct about this. It is not urine in the typical sense of the word. While it is stored in the bladder and is expelled through the urethra, its chemical composition is demonstrably different from the urine that is passed during normal urination. Scientific analysis has shown that this fluid is most often clear, watery, and does not have the characteristic color or odor of concentrated urine. Studies that have measured its components have found that it is essentially a plasma ultrafiltrate. This means it's the filtered, watery part of blood, which is biochemically similar to the way urine is initially formed by the kidneys, but it is far more dilute. Crucially, analyses have also found it to contain specific substances that are not typically present in urine in the same concentrations. One of the most significant of these substances is prostate-specific antigen, or PSA. This is the very same protein produced by the male prostate gland and used as a key marker in prostate health screenings for men. The confirmed presence of PSA in this fluid is strong, compelling evidence that the Skene's glands, the female prostate, are actively involved in its production. So here is a clearer, more complete picture of what is happening physiologically. During periods of intense arousal, particularly with direct and sustained stimulation of the G area and the underlying Skene's glands, these glands begin to produce a small amount of a milky, thicker fluid. This substance is what is sometimes referred to as female ejaculate, and it is chemically very similar to male prostatic fluid. At the same time, the intense rhythmic muscular contractions of orgasm and the deep stimulation around the urethra can trigger the rapid, forceful release of the dilute, watery fluid that has collected in the bladder. The phenomenon we call squirting or gushing is therefore a combination of these two things: the small amount of secretions produced by the Skene's glands mixed with the larger volume of dilute fluid from the bladder. It is a completely natural physiological response to intense pleasure and specific stimulation in some women, some of the time. It is not universal, nor does its absence signify any lack of pleasure. Understanding this science is profoundly liberating for both partners. First, it completely demystifies the fluid itself. It is not dirty, unhygienic, or shameful. It is a biological product of peak arousal. Knowing that it comes from the bladder can also help alleviate one of the biggest barriers for women: fear. Many women report feeling a sudden, intense sensation of needing to urinate just before this happens, which can be alarming and cause them to instinctively clench their muscles and hold back. Understanding that this sensation is a normal part of the process and that the resulting fluid is not simply pee can give her the psychological freedom to let go, to surrender to the sensation without fear or embarrassment. For the partner, this knowledge is equally crucial. It removes any potential for a negative or confused reaction. It is not an accident. It is a powerful sign of her immense pleasure and profound trust in you. By understanding it, welcoming it, and treating it as a natural and even beautiful expression of her arousal, you reinforce that all-important emotional safety at the most critical moment. You create a space where she feels completely uninhibited, accepted, and celebrated. This knowledge transforms a potential source of deep shame into a shared, understood, and cherished experience. Holistic intimacy. We have now journeyed through the psychological, the anatomical, and the technical aspects of this deeply personal experience. We have grounded our understanding in science and approached the topic with the compassion it deserves. And now we arrive at the most important part of our discussion, the final unifying insight that I promised you at the very beginning. If you walk away from this with only one single resonant truth, let it be this: the relentless, goal-oriented pursuit of a single outcome, like making a partner squirt, is one of the most effective and efficient ways to kill genuine intimacy and authentic pleasure. This pursuit turns a shared, sacred, and spontaneous experience into a goal-oriented performance. It places an immense and unspoken pressure on both partners. For the giving partner, it becomes a silent test of their skill, a measure of their prowess. Their focus shifts from connecting with their partner to executing a task correctly. For the receiving partner, it becomes an even greater burden, a test of her body's ability to perform on demand, to produce a specific result to validate her partner's efforts. This anxiety, this performance pressure, is the direct biochemical enemy of the relaxed, safe, open, and trusting state required for any kind of authentic pleasure, let alone an experience this profound. When the primary focus is on a single, sensationalized outcome, we inevitably stop listening. We stop being truly present. We become so fixated on a future destination that we completely miss the staggering beauty of the journey itself. We might be so focused on applying a specific finger motion that we miss the subtle, nonverbal cue that she wants a different kind of touch, or that she's overwhelmed and needs a pause, or that she simply wants to be held, to connect through eye contact and slow, deep, shared breathing. Intimacy is not a video game with levels to beat and achievements to unlock. It is a dance. It is a conversation. It requires presence, deep attunement, and a courageous willingness to let the experience unfold organically, without a rigid script or a predetermined finale. The most beautiful, memorable, and deeply connective sexual experiences are those where both partners completely let go of the goal and immerse themselves entirely in the process. The real prize is not a specific physiological reaction. The real prize is the staggering depth of connection that is forged through this kind of attentive, generous, and present loving. It is the feeling of being so exquisitely attuned to your partner that you can sense their needs almost before they do. It is the feeling of being so profoundly safe and trusted that you can let go of all inhibition and simply exist in your body, experiencing pure sensation for its own sake. This is the heart of holistic intimacy. It is about engaging the whole person, their mind, their body, their history, and Their heart. Female ejaculation, if and when it happens, should be seen as a beautiful and powerful expression of pleasure, but never as the only or most important one. It is one possible, wonderful outcome among a vast spectrum of responses. A soft, surrendered moan, a deep, contented sigh, a quiet and breathless, "That's perfect," the way her entire body melts and softens into yours, these are all equally valid, equally precious, and equally beautiful expressions of pleasure. To value one spectacular firework over the quiet, profound warmth of the fire is to miss the rich and diverse language of human arousal. The knowledge we've discussed today isn't about mastering a party trick or adding a notch to a belt. It's about learning the art of deeper listening and the practice of more generous loving. It's a tool for connection, not for conquest. The true path to unlocking your partner's deepest pleasure, and in turn your own, is to consciously and completely let go of the outcome. Release the pressure, banish the expectation, replace the frantic goal of making her squirt with the gentle, loving intention of exploring pleasure together. Focus on creating that unshakable foundation of emotional safety. Learn her body's unique map with endless curiosity and patience. Apply touch with rhythmic, attentive, and communicative pressure, and view any and all of her responses as beautiful gifts. When you do that, you create the sacred space for magic to happen. It may or may not result in this specific phenomenon we've discussed, and that is perfectly, wonderfully okay. Because what you will have built in the process is something far more lasting, meaningful, and profound. A partnership grounded in unshakable trust, open communication, and a shared, joyful commitment to mutual pleasure. That right there is the true climax of any intimate connection. The final insight is about letting go. True intimacy is not built by chasing a single, sensationalized outcome. That pursuit only creates anxiety and turns connection into a performance. The real goal is to be fully present, to listen with your whole being, and to explore pleasure together without pressure or expectation. Let go of the need for a specific result. Focus on the connection, on the shared journey. When you do that, you will discover a depth of intimacy and a richness of pleasure that is far more profound than any single physical event could ever be. This was the most helpful and respectful explanation of this I've ever seen. The biggest myth it busted for me was the idea that this is a goal to be achieved. Reframing it as a possible expression of pleasure that can only happen in a state of complete emotional safety and trust totally changed my perspective. It takes all the pressure off and puts the focus back on connection, which is what actually matters. Thank you.